Hello everyone, my name is Wayne Supernova and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. In the last episode, we proved a lot of things, we presented a lot of pieces of evidence, we lost 2 hit points out of our 5 that we have, and in this part, we're gonna hopefully put this motherfucker Ashley Graydon to bed, because holy shit, He's been evading us the whole last episode, and this time we have to prove that there was a deal made in between Inspector Gregson and Mr. Graydon during Gina's testimony over there. We have to prove what capital that Mr. Graydon gave to Gregson in return for information about the peephole on the door. I can't think of anything other than the second missing music box disc, because we have the first one, right? We already knew about that one. And the music box we didn't have at the time because they were going to retrieve it from Windibanks during Gina's testimony there. And Graydon probably told him about the music box and that it could play both of the things, and he struck a deal with him for information about the peephole in return for the second music box disc, because, you know, it seems that Gregson wants that more than anything at the moment, probably because he's under strict orders from Lord Strongheart, but we'll see. This is my answer. Let's see what we do.
Take that!
Ooh, the music cut out. Please. Inspector Gregson. Besides this murder, is it not true that you've been working on another very important case? What are you getting at? What are you getting at now, Sunshine? Is it possible that this other top secret case is what's alluded to in this newspaper article here? The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice. How the bleeding Nora could you... We discovered during the course of this trial the music box deposited at Windibanks by Magnus McGilded. A special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon in which you exchanged the disc for details of the case. You little... Order! On the day of the incident, when we met you at Windibanks, you said this. I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over.
No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is, mine.
I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. Scotland Yard already knew at that time, isn't that right? That Magnus McGilded was involved in the stealing of government secrets. My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information. Blimey, not likely. I mean, I wasn't that sure of it myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all. Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of those music box discs, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness? To aid and abet this man in giving a false testimony? There's no other way that Mr. Graydon could have known of the existence of the peephole. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these 2 men. No! Gwah! That was kind of bad, but hey, you know, my voice can't handle all these deep, dark voices. Oh, here's another one. If, and I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, do you like my deep voice for Von Zeeks? Nobody's fucking commented on any of these videos yet, so I don't know. I just hope that you guys aren't fucking annoyed by it, because Jesus goddamn Christ, it's hard to do. It would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here in this very courtroom. Wait, what? In this room? How could you possibly make a claim like that? Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective. What? What's that supposed to mean, eh? As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly he would not have accepted a gentleman's agreement in this matter. No, he would have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand. Good gracious, then you mean to say Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession? He has the second disc actually on his person. Yes! The defense demands that the inspector is searched at once.
Definitely. They could only have struck a deal with each other where Ginny was testifying before. And Gregsy hasn't moved from the witness stand since.
My lord, please, order an examination of his personal effects immediately. Well, Inspector? Will you give it up, or will we have to search you? This young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He's insulted me and my profession quite enough. However, if it'll put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts of my involvement, then I'll happily submit to a body search.
What? He's going to agree to it?
I presume you're aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my learned student friend. You've made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following the search of the inspector's personal effects, no disc is found, you will be deemed unfit for court service. This trial will end, and my country's government will formally demand of yours that you are severely reprimanded.
That sounds serious.
Indeed, to have a visiting student make such defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force is not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook.
You're just threatening Runo because you're scared.
The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences.
It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here. Yeah, maybe the Skulkin brothers have it.
Very well, counsel. You know the implications, so let me ask you one final time.
Yes, my lord.
Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects? I feel like because he's saying that he doesn't have it on him, pretty much, he's like... Because he knows that if we search him, it'll probably be found, right? And he couldn't have given it back to Graydon? Maybe he somehow got it to the Skulkin brothers. I don't know how, but... I'm gonna click search someone else. I don't know. Yes, the defense formally demands that the search be conducted. Well, don't say you weren't warned, but your typical Nipponese stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good. Fair enough. I've got nothing to hide. Very well then. Bailiff, conduct a search of the inspector's personal effects, please. Objection. The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson. What? Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me. No, Inspector. Not you. Somebody else. What's the meaning of all this, eh? Lost it at last, have you, Sunshine? The court shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational. He either gave it to the Skulkins, or he gave it to... Or he gave it to Sholmes when he passed out. I don't know how he would do that, but maybe he did.
Be quiet, all of you.
Iris? Yep.
Runo's doing what you all told him to do and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way.
Ooh. That's interesting. Wonder. Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction and eagerly awaits his next words. You what? Now don't be hasty, my lord. If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has the disc at the moment. There's only one person it can be. Well, the fact that there's only one person? It's gotta be... I don't remember which one. God, dude. I'm not sure. I don't remember because this would be easier if I had done this all at once, but I didn't. I record like 2.5 hours at a time, which is like 4 or 5 episodes at a time. So yeah, it's kind of tough. It's kind of really tough at this point to remember. So he had to have gotten it from Jenny. Well, he had to have gotten it from Graydon during the Jenny, he had to have gotten it from Graydon during the Jenny cross-examination. Then, after that... Oh god, what happened after that? I could go back and rewatch all of my fucking videos, but that wouldn't be good, right? I need to figure it out now, sitting here. I don't think it's on him, because he's being very lackadaisical about the idea of searching him, so he probably got rid of it already and gave it to someone else. But because he gave it to someone else, I highly disagree with the notion that he would give it to one of the Skulkin brothers, because Jesus Christ, it's one of the fucking Skulkin brothers. I don't think he's that stupid. He is a detective, after all. So why would he give it to people he knows are criminals? So he would have to have given it to someone he trusts, right? And this is the only person he trusts that was up there next to him at some point or another. And we've seen Herlock Sholmes's sleight of hand before. I'm gonna save. And then I'm gonna send it on Sholmes. I don't remember exactly the stuff that happened, but I don't think he gave it to the Skulkin Bros. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Sholmes. My lord, the defense demands this person be searched at once. This isn't good. Good grief! What possible relation could exist between that person and the case counsel? Objection! It would seem my Nipponese friend does not understand the gravity of requesting such a search. If the defense counsel's aim is humiliation, perhaps this will give him a taste of his own medicine. Oops. Well, there's one down.
If Gregsy doesn't have the disc at the moment, the question is, where could he have hidden it?
The trouble is, he's been in the witness stand the entire time in full view of everyone in the courtroom. Not an easy situation in which to go about hiding anything, really. So there's honestly only one place he could have possibly hidden it then.
Perhaps in another person's pocket? Someone with him on the stand?
Well, the person standing next to him on the stand right now is Nash Skulkin. So this is the only other... Ooh, music stopped. Here we go. Of, my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin. Well, I never. Blimey. Me? Him? Very well then. Bailiff, restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effects. Please, my lord. Inspector? Scotland Yard, has to object to this search. Objection. Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here. In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object. But Lord Van Ziegs, I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial. Bailiff, carry out the search. Now, hold on a mo. I didn't know nothing. Nothing about no disc. Got it out! Ah! Here, my lord. In the witness's pocket. I found this. Good lord, that's another music box disc. I don't know nothing about it. Nothing. That is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilded. Is not Inspector Gregson. Sorry. Order! Mr. Skulkin, what have you to say for yourself? Gordon Bennett. Gordon Flamin' Bennett. I swear I didn't know nothing about that disc. Honest to God. Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck between this witness and this detective, no? Oh, it was struck between this witness and this detective, no. Without question, my lord. Then, for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc that the inspector traded for information? Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But at one particular point in this trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment. I don't recall. What unusual behavior? It was, yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? I admit to nothing of the sort. Oh, I didn't remember that. That was the pursue thing. He was shaking the hell out of him. While Mr. Graydon answered my questions, the inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by his coat and was shaking him violently. Yeah, he did and all. Thought me noggin was gonna clean fall off, I did. I was wishing I'd been born as me brother, I was. And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that? I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned and grabbed me whistle like that and started shaking me. Why the blazes didn't you mention the third gun when you got down to the station? That's what he said. Yelled it right down my ear, all he did. My head's still throbbing now. The way the detective behaved then was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been then that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc. Well, bless my wig, he hid it. That was the wrong voice, but whatever. I'm trying to keep my throat sane right now because holy shit, these deep voices are killing me. But I'm afraid I fail to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence. It would appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at liberty to do that. Why ever not? As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special conditions.
My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the Ministry, and do it on the QT. Strictly hush-hush.
Hush-hush! A top-secret assignment it is.
As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if that information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector? I'm operating under direct orders from the Ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question. So, realizing there was a chance you may be searched here in court, you took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness.
Ah, does this mean?
He only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him to slip the second disc into his pocket.
So it was all a pretense. Well now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon, are you prepared to admit the accusation made against you of this alleged deal?
Admit to it? Yours truly? Please. Mr. Graydon! Clearly our Eastern visitor has an uncommonly active imagination. However, there's no proof that I passed that disc to the inspector. But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole? I'm under no obligation to explain. What? Yes, I lied in my testimony. That I admit, so sentence me accordingly. But that is all I admit. Murder, leaking government secrets, striking a deal with a detective. All of it is this young Eastern man's fantasy. I have no idea what any of that is about. You... what? Oh boy, we're still going. Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc? Ladies and gents of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I am acting in the best interests of the country. Whatever I've done, it's been in the name of justice. So, as members of the public of this fine country, I like to think that justice will be your guiding light when you're making your decisions.
This is quite quandary indeed. Rarely have I encountered such extraordinary tumultuousness in the concluding of a trial. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury for their final leanings.
Well now, as a fellow servant of Queen and country, I must say I sympathize with the old inspector. Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure. In service, one becomes a good judge of character. Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to looking at this case. It's all blurred to me. Well, as a fellow professional, I'd like to put my faith in the detective, really. Graydon is a highly skilled operator. Stop! Currently in presence of idols. Stop! Detective has word and must trust in eyes. More than this, I cannot say. I don't believe it. These 6 jurors are... They're going to believe Gregson. They declare their decision now. Is Jenny gonna be found guilty? If I don't manage to produce some definitive evidence right now, then we're going to lose. There's some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Windibank or stole those government secrets. Or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting that he struck a deal with the witness. Ooh. So we have 3 avenues? Oh god. This is fucking hard, dude. This is one of the hardest things that I've had to do in Ace Attorney.
I think it is time I imposed on the jurors to declare their final decisions, no? That is, unless you have some compelling evidence you have thus far not presented to the court.
If I let the judge call on the jurors to announce their leanings, Gina will be found guilty. So there's no choice then, Reno. You have to throw some more evidence at them. This is it now. It all comes down to this. Who do I present evidence against? Gregson or Graydon? Oh god. Fuck! Dude, this game is brutal in this fucking case. Absolutely brutal.
So let's see here. So we need to either prove that he killed Windibank, or knew about the government secrets. Well, leaked the government secrets. So we need evidence of one of those two things for Graydon, and then evidence that proves that the deal took place for Gregson. So let's think about the first one first. Can we prove that he killed Windibank? Let me just check things real quick. This is about the small box. Redemption deadline was the 13th of April. I don't know what the day is. Where's the fucking autopsy report? Do we have the autopsy report? I forgot about the autopsy. It's this fucking clipboard right here. So that was the 16th of April. Single bullet wound, no other visible signs of trauma. Instant death. Entered from the back on a gently rising diagonal trajectory. God, what the fuck is the answer here? I'm gonna pause the recording here and then come back with the answer once I think I figured it out, because I'm just gonna do some hard thinking here. Hard thinking. So, here we go. Okay, I'm back. The only thing that I was able to think of, I combed through every single piece of this evidence that we have, and I could not find anything that was weird that we'd never talked about before, and also that pertains to getting Graydon, well, really proving 100% conclusively beyond a shadow of a doubt that he's the one who killed Windibank, and also that he made the deal with fucking Grayson. But the only thing that I think we haven't talked about is the fact that this little lamp thing down here was broken. I don't think we ever really talked about the fact that that was broken and that there were shards of glass on the ground down there. But I don't think that that has anything to do with it. The only thing I can think of is the only way that we can really prove, or at least get Grayson to talk, is if we present the music box to him. Because if we do that, if we present this music box to him and try and use both discs to play the government secrets, that'll get him to admit it. Because there's absolutely no way he can allow that to occur. But we can do it. So that's the only thing I can think of. I'm going to say Gregson. Of course, they're not going to really do anything here to, like, ruin our health until we present the piece of evidence. So, I don't know, but... Inspector Gregson, there is one final piece of evidence I would like you to see.
Eh? What's that, then?
If you refuse to acknowledge that you did in fact strike a deal with the witness here today, then you leave us no choice but to examine this piece of evidence thoroughly.
Well, go on.
This is my last chance. It looks like I'm going to have to force his hand here. One final piece of evidence to get this detective to admit to the deal he clearly struck with Graydon. I think I'm on the right track here, considering what he just said.
Take that!
Oh, no music. Is that Mr. McKilden's peculiar music box, Counsel?
Yes, with a disc already in place. Ready to play. I think perhaps now would be a good time to listen to the sound produced by the music box again. Only this time, with the second disc we've just discovered and set in place as well.
Goodness! That is this disc, Counsel? No! Wait! I can't let you do that!
Why not?
Because it's got nothing to do with this case. That's why.
Well, if it's got nothing to do with this case, then you surely shouldn't have any reason to be angry about us playing it, right? Not true, Inspector.
Oh.
The defense has already proposed that the sounds heard by the court earlier from this music box were part of a Morse code message. We know that Morse code comprises of 2 distinct tones. The defense believes that the second disc contains the second tone needed to complete the message, and now we have a chance to confirm that theory.
For crying out loud, Sunshine, we're talking about state secrets here. If you go letting the whole courtroom hear confidential information like that, it's treason.
Well, good thing I'm not a citizen of your country, then. Then do you admit to the charge that in order to protect those state secrets you engaged in unlawful dealings with the witness?
You're mad. You let that secret information out into the public domain. You'll be making an enemy of the entire British government, you idiot!
The only idiot here is you, Inspector. Let's not forget, Inspector, that you, a Scotland Yard officer, leaked confidential case details to a witness. That you continue to lie to the court, and all because by fair means or foul, you're determined to do your duty. Well, by fair means or foul, I'm prepared to do mine.
Don't you dare.
I will stop at nothing to protect my client. I don't care who I make an enemy of. Damn, dude. Yo, we fucking laying down the shit. I was about to do a dumb bit where it's like,
don't you dare.
Oh, I will.
Don't you dare. Oh, I will.
It's just back and forth, but that's much better, actually. What a badass line. My lord, if you please. The court must hear the sounds made by that music box.
Come on, Van Seeks, for Pete's sake, stop him!
Objection.
Ooh, we get the foot for this one.
Inspector, you should know my methods by now. I'm a prosecutor. I'm no Scotland Yard puppet. Oh. In this courtroom, my duty is to the law, so let me propose a toast to uncovering the truth, by fair means or foul. No!
Very well. The defense's stance here, and that of the prosecution, has been made very clear, I feel. Oh god. Therefore, in accordance with the defense's request, the court will now listen to this music box as this music box is set in operation once more. Oh, nice camera angle, I like that. This time, with the second disc in place, and both discs playing simultaneously. Uh-oh. You gotta stop it. You can admit to it right now. Oh, listen to that. It's unmistakable now. It's Morse code.
Hold it. Alright, I admit it, whatever you want. But for the love of God, shut that blooming box up.
Let me ask you again then, Inspector Gregson. Did you, or did you not, strike a deal with the witness next to you in the stand, Mr. Ashley Graydon? Specifically, did you furnish the witness with confidential case details in exchange for this music box disc? Did you reveal the existence of the peephole in the pawnbroker's storeroom door, Inspector?
I did.
Stop! What are you doing, man?
It's all exactly like the young Eastern lawyer said. When the trial resumed after the recess and we were stood here in the stand together, that's when he approached me with the deal.
Shut up, you imbecile! Shut up! Psst, you there. You're the detective who turned up at the pawnbroker the other day, aren't you? I may have something you're looking for, Inspector, with me at this very moment. So how about a trade? I suggest you accept. Or information that may make certain individuals uncomfortable will soon become very public indeed.
I couldn't let that information become public knowledge, not under any circumstances. So I accepted the man's proposal and told him details about the case that should have put him in the clear.
the people in the storeroom door, and the bloodstains on the overcoat.
By giving false testimony, this witness intended to have the defendant wrongly accused of murder. Inspector, you knew that. Yet you still revealed those details to facilitate the witness's perjury.
I did. But then it turned out the people had only been made that night after the incident took place. Scotland Yard wasn't aware of that, if I'm perfectly honest.
Well, Mr. Graydon, what do you have to say for yourself? There's nothing and no one left for you to hide behind. You struck a deal with the inspector in order to escape conviction of a very serious crime. Namely this. You are the third intruder who broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question. And you perpetrated the murder of the proprietor, Mr. Pop Wendebank.
Ugh, you...
Oh, damn.
Traitor!
Oh, shit. Oh, damn. Can we get some fucking help over here? Bailiff?
Bailiff! Restrain that man! At once!
I was gonna say, Jesus Christ. He's gonna fucking choke Gregson to death. He already made him cough up one of his chips. That's it then. It's all over. Holy shit. Did we actually do it? I despised my life growing up. Those slums are vile places. I was cursed from birth, born into poverty, the son of a penniless artisan. My parents did nothing but quarrel all day long. What little money they had was never spent on me. So I set about studying, to better myself, to one day escape from that hellhole.
And you eventually became a communications officer. I admire your determination.
But then you decided to try and sell government secrets? Why? Isn't it obvious? Because I wanted money. Even now, years later, the nightmares of my life in the slums wake me in the small hours. I wanted to drown them out, with more money than anyone who lived in that squalor could ever imagine. Then one day I met him, Mr. Magnus McGilded. You're a fiend with a queer talent, so you are. I've money to throw your way if you're interested. All you need do is go along with me little plan now. I was to steal the ministry's telegraphic message logs, and McGilded would buy them for a handsome sum. As I was responsible for inspections of the ministry's communications office, it was a simple enough task.
The lure of the devil's offerings. How easy it is to succumb. But you must surely have realized the seriousness of the crime you were committing.
And for that reason, I took great lengths to ensure that my actions were untraceable.
By using the music box.
My father was a brickmaker, though my mother divorced him when I was still a child. Yes, Mr. Mason Milverton. That's right, he was very skilled with his hands. He once been a music box maker's apprentice. I imagined his skills would be sufficient to create a machine that could generate Morse code. So I sought out my father again, to employ his services. It was the first time I'd seen him since I'd left the slums 10 years earlier. We don't have a voice for him yet because he was dead by the time that we met him.
Look at you, Ashley. What a fine gent you've become, eh?
He was a different man to the one in my memory, a thin, frail old man. Poverty had never broken him, never corrupted him like it had me. I was sure that he wouldn't help me if I told him the real reason, so I made up a story. I've got some work for you, Father. I need some music box discs made.
Music box discs, eh? A musician friend
of mine has written some music he wants to sell to the public.
I brought you the score with me. There are 2, actually.
I'd be delighted, son. It's been 20 years since I did any work like this, though. Fetch my tools, would you? They're in the loft.
That's how I had to make the 2 discs.
Thereby splitting the information in 2. You were taking considerable precautions indeed.
It was to protect myself as much as anything. It meant that I could deal with McGilded in 2 separate transactions. The first involved the first of the 2 discs and the music box for playing them. I exchanged them with McGilded for 10 guineas. Then, on receipt of the second disc, he would pay 1,000 guineas. So, what happened on the omnibus 2 months ago? Was the second part of a deal? The exchange of the second disc? Yes. I'd sold the man information that way a number of times already, but it seems he became reluctant to part with his money.
But that doesn't quite make sense, Mr. Graydon. For why was it on the omnibus 2 months ago? Your father, Mr. Milverton, was the one dealing with Mr. McGilded and not yourself.
When I received the 1,000 guineas after my first completed dealings with McGilded, I decided to give 200 to my father for his troubles. But my father realized something was amiss. In time, he worked out that I must be involved in something dubious, and when he did, he said to me,
"Next time there's an exchange, you let your old man do it, understand? Otherwise, I won't take your money anymore."
That was my father's way of dealing with it, I suppose. Climb into the omnibus, hand over the second disc, and take the money from McGilded. That's it. He had no idea what was actually on the discs I'd asked him to make. He never knew. Just like I'll never know why everything went so horribly wrong that night. All I know is that the disc was taken from him, and he never returned home. It was only then that I found out what sort of a monster McGilded really was. So after 10 years of not once uttering it, I swore on my father's name. To exact revenge. Revenge?
As anyone with even the remotest knowledge of the man will no doubt be able to imagine, McGilded brought all his wealth and influence to bear in the most despicable of ways. To crush any semblance of justice in his trial. The crime scene was tampered with, evidence was fixed, and witnesses were bribed. That trial of 2 months ago was a farce from start to finish.
My feet had barely touched British soil back then, and I walked into that hornet's nest completely unaware of the sinister background to it all. I'd made plenty of money out of my dealings with McGilded by then. So, now that we have the full picture here, I just wanted to say one quick thing about that trial. I think that the sole reason that we were put in the position that we were for that trial was simply because the Mr. Strongheart did not expect us to get an acquittal for McGilded. But he was fine with making it a test because he knew that he would have a way to get rid of McGilded afterwards anyway. I think Strongheart's probably the one who killed McGilded at the end there. I'd made plenty of money out of my dealings with McGilded by then, so I spared nothing in my arrangements 2 months ago. I knew exactly who to hire. If you're willing to pay the price, there are people in this city willing to do anything you ask. Wait, so he killed McGilded? With the fucking money that he got from McGilded? McGilded himself had shown me that. Are you saying that... I think you have the picture now. After he twisted everything to his favor in this courtroom to ensure that he walked free, I took matters into my own hands and delivered the justice that monster deserved. Damn, he's admitting to fucking murdering him. That tragic accident following the trial here 2 months ago was planned and executed by yours truly. McGilded's death that day was caused by this man Oh, he was the fucking bailiff. Oh, damn. So he pulled the fucking Sherlock Holmes trick before Sherlock Holmes did. That's pretty nice. Everything is ready, sir, if you'd like to follow me into the courtroom. What's this, officer? 'Tis sooner than I was led to believe. I hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There were some changes to the schedule. Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection. They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. So that policeman who came to tell McGilded he could examine the omnibus again. That's right, an imposter, hired by me. Oh, he was just hired by you. McGilded used his wealth to manipulate the trial. He paid people to adulterate the omnibus with all manner of false evidence. He threatened witnesses to lie in their testimony. So I gave the man a taste of his own medicine. Once the omnibus was doused in paraffin, one of my sham policemen ushered McGilded inside and sent him on a one-way journey to hell. An eye for an eye. That's how I avenged my father's death. A spine-chilling account indeed. But that wasn't the end of it for me. There was a loose end, you see. A loose end? Yes, I should think it's obvious. The second disc, which my father had taken to exchange with McGilded. Ah, yes. There was indeed no mention of it in the man's trial 2 months ago. Clearly because it had been removed from the scene of the crime. When I realized it was missing, I remembered something. Something from the first time I dealt with McGilded. This is the first of the 2 discs. In the music box, you need to play them. Well, look at that now. What an ingenious little invention. So then, as promised, 10 guineas for you, young man. What's this? Windibank's pawnbrokery. Aye, 'tis a pawnbroker's ticket, so it is. You can use it to redeem an article I've deposited there for you. There's no need to give it a name. To give a name, just hand over the ticket and tell the fiend the watchword. I've put a jewel in pawn for you. It'll fetch a good 10 guineas if you sell it, so it will. I've never heard of a pawnbrokery being used in quite that way before. Have you not, Mr. Graydon? London's pawnbrokeries are very useful places, you know. Each one is like an extremely secure vault. So that's when he got the idea. He put the music box in there. So I knew that if he'd taken steps to hide the disc, it would be in that pawnbrokery somewhere. And on the night that he killed my father, he must have entrusted the ticket to someone. Yes, to Gina. I remember now that when we first met you at the Windibanks that afternoon 2 days ago, you had a description of Miss Lestrade written down. How did you know who you were looking for? From the trial, that pickpocket's testimony was clearly peculiar. Anyone could see that. I realized immediately that she was another of McGilded's pawns, that he must have threatened her somehow. I was fairly convinced it would be her who had the ticket, so I started to make some inquiries. I had a strong suspicion that the girl would come out of the woodwork on the redemption deadline. And he was absolutely right. And yes, sure enough, she did. All I needed to do was wait until the girl went to Windibanks to redeem the articles. But unfortunately, she redeemed only McGilded's overcoat and the 1 disc that was in its pocket. The all-important music box with the 2nd disc inside was missing. Because it had already been forfeited 2 days earlier. But I was unaware of that fact. Had I not been, I could have avoided my nighttime excursion. Meanwhile, as our investigation into the stolen government secrets was progressing, we'd picked up on the fact that McGilded was involved. Inspector, you've recovered fast. My orders were to retrieve the stolen information as quickly as possible, so we started gathering the fella's possessions and examining whatever we could lay our hands on. We had a full-scale investigation going at the yard, but we had to keep it as quiet as we could.
Then, when the inspector here took the disc from me in the pawnbrokery that day, I became nervous. I was sure the music box and the second disc were still there in the shop somewhere, so I knew that it was a race against time. I had to find those articles before the police did. So that's what prompted you to break into the place that same night. With the help of your old friends, the Skulkin brothers. What happened that night in the pawnbrokery, I can only describe as a nightmare. While Nash and Ringo were searching the counter, I'd located the music box I'd sold to McGilded on the shelves of forfeited articles.
And the second disc was inside.
Yes, I slipped it into my pocket with a very deep sigh of relief. But then, something entirely unexpected happened.
What are you doing in my shop?
A gunshot rang out in the shop and I felt a sharp pain in my left arm.
The broker fired his gun and the bullet pierced your limb.
Yes, exactly. But unfortunately, I decided to bring my own gun with me that night, just in case. Before I knew what was happening, I'd fired back. The man had already turned to flee. I hadn't intended to fire in his direction, much less kill him. But unfortunately for both of us, the bullet hit home. It struck him in the middle of his back as he fled through the storeroom door for refuge.
A sorry tale.
It all took place in the blink of an eye. I don't imagine Nash and Ringo even realized what had happened at first. I was terrified, so I fled. And that's the whole story. That's everything that happened at Windibanks on that wretched night. Well, that's something else. Sorry tale indeed. But there's still a couple things that are left unsolved that I doubt we'll solve in this game. We will solve it in the next game. But most of those have to deal with Lord Strongheart. Of course. And of course the two people that came out of nowhere in the middle of Case 3 that we never saw again. That we still have no fucking clue who they are.
Earlier, you called McGilded a monster. A man who used his wealth and influence to distort the facts and escape justice for the crime of murder. What tragic irony. For what you have done is exactly the same.
That is kind of tragic irony, to be quite honest.
You've become the very monster you saw and despised so deeply in McGilded.
Yes, I think I have.
Well, this has been a long and exhausting trial. However, it would seem that at last we have arrived at the truth. Inspector Gregson, what of Mr. Ashley Graydon?
He's been restrained, my lord, and is being escorted to the yard. He'll be charged with the murder of Mr. Windibank and the stealing of government secrets.
Very good. And you, Inspector? Regrettably, you will have to face charges yourself.
The other guy should also be charged with the murder of Mr. McGilded, but you know what? Forget that part. It's fine. He did the world a favor.
Regrettably, you will have to face charges yourself.
Yes, my lord, of course. It transpires that you were complicit in helping a criminal escape justice. That fact remains, whether or not you were doing so in the line of duty. The crime is a serious one, Inspector, and inexcusable.
Now to the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Ah, yeah?
It is time for the final education. Is the jury ready, Mr. Foreman?
Yes, sir. Garrett Ebb Squadron standing by, sir. This is really it now. The last push, the final call, the finishing whistle. My men are ready to deliver their verdicts.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You will now declare your final decisions to the court.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Yay! Where's my fucking confetti, goddammit? That's the stuff! I'm off the hook! Finally, Runo, you finally managed to do it! Finally is the word. I really wasn't sure we'd come out on top for a while there. Susie was right. You're the best lawyer in the world!
Mr. Strayed, I am not finished with you yet.
Eh? What are you looking at me like that for?
Before you start enjoying your freedom, there are certain other crimes to consider.
Eh?
2 months ago, in my courtroom no less, you gave false testimony, did you not? And in relation to the trial today, not only did you unlawfully enter Windibake's pawnbrokery, you also attempted to abscond with Mr. McGilded's property, it seems.
Eh? I never done nothing of the sort. Of course not. It's not like you were gleefully wearing McGilded's coat in your cell yesterday or anything. Aww, and just when I was getting excited about throwing a party for Jenny this evening.
And turning our attention to the defense, determining that, when played together, the music box discs contained a message of Morse code was, well, it was certainly a most unexpected revelation, counsel.
Quite so, my lord. The prosecution was caught entirely off guard. In fact, I think we should applaud my learned friend's courage here today. I propose a toast to demanding that government secrets be disseminated before the entire courtroom.
Very sorry about that. It was the only way that I could get Inspector Gregson to admit to what he'd done, so...
If I may say something on that point.
Isn't that... Oh no, it's her.
If I may say something on that point, it's, about the sounds produced by the music box before. I do wonder if that was really Morse code at all.
Really? Are you telling me we fucked up?
What? What are you saying, madam?
Oh, well, it's just that I'm really rather fanatical when it comes to Morse code, you see. So much so that the whole world seems to be covered in dots and dashes to me, in fact.
Goodness, madam. An unhealthy level of obsession, one feels.
But I must say that, in my opinion, the sounds produced by those 2 discs were nothing more than that. A meaningless series of 2 different notes.
I'm thinking that means series.
What? Can that really be? It wasn't Morse code after all? My lord, the defense would like to listen to the music box again.
Are you off your nut? How many times do I have to tell you? Those discs contain ministerial secrets, sunshine.
This courtroom is not an appropriate forum to discuss the nature of the government communications. We know McGilded conspired to trade national secrets with our enemies, secrets acquired from Mr. Graydon. Now that the man has admitted to his crimes, we have no need to pursue the matter further.
But it's really going to bother me. Uh-oh, what is Iris thinking about?
Miss Lestrade,
Yeah, me lord?
that which you have seen here today in this courtroom has been extremely disturbing.
Falsified evidence, intimidation, perjury, a grim catalogue of depravity.
And an appalling experience to befall any child.
Come on, it ain't nothing I don't see most days back in the slums.
I beg your pardon?
If you're weak, you pay for it. That's just how life goes. Gina. But look, I reckon I've worked something out today. The world ain't fair, but if you want it to change, you've got to start at home. You've got to change how you are yourself.
Well, it's a very laudable lesson, I would say. I eagerly look forward to the born-again Miss Lestrade never gracing my courtroom with her presence again.
Well, I'm not so sure about that, but we'll see.
Now, with regard to the murder of Mr. Pop Windibank, proprietor of a pawnbrokery business on Baker Street, I hereby declare the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Not guilty. Yay! Give us the fucking confetti. Let's go. This is going to be a super long episode, by the way. I'm sure you've noticed. Yeah, fire your own fireworks. Let's go. Damn. I thought I was supposed to just have smoke grenades in that thing. Good for you, Gina.
That is all. Court is adjourned.
Epilogue time. Yeah. Face to face with Mr. Zeeks. On a personal note, I must say you've surprised me, my far eastern friend. Oh! Despite being a Nipponese, you saw through the pretense to the malice that festered within that an Englishman, and at the same time, saw through the grime to the surprising heart of your English client. You have a curious talent for judging character, especially considering our very different cultures. I don't think there's anything curious about it. Whether we're from the Empire or Great Britain, or the Empire of Japan, or the Empire of Great Britain, or the Empire of Japan, we're all human beings. We're not so very different on the inside. You know, I took this case for one very simple reason. To lock swords with you once again here in the courtroom. You did? When I encountered you for the first time 2 months ago, it reminded me of toasting friendship and trust with another Nipponese, only to find my trust betrayed. Ooh, backstory! Through you, I hope to look into the eyes of the man I once knew, and try to understand. You mentioned something similar earlier today, about total betrayal at the hands of the Japanese. What happened exactly? That is for the next game. Well, you may ask. And one day, when the time comes, you will learn the answer, whether you like it or not. Alright, then I'll wait for that day if I must. Coming to be known as the Reaper of the Bailey, and my retirement from service 5 years ago, it gives me cause to wonder if our meeting has some deeper purpose. So, farewell, my learned Nipponese fellow, until we meet again. One more chalice to the graveyard. I wonder how many he's crushed this playthrough so far. I should have been keeping track. 17th of April, 5:24 p.m. Damn, it took us all the way until 5:24 p.m. to fucking finish this trial. Well, just in time for dinner, I guess. It's done. It's over at last. But where's Iris disappeared to? Hey, Gina. Oh, I thought it was her who said that. Congratulations, Gina. I knew it all along. I knew that you were innocent. Well, you did what you said, Mr. Naruto. You believed in me, right up to the end. You're as odd as your name. What's odd about it? I told you I had faith in you, didn't I? No one ever has before, see? Kept a promise, I mean, properly. That's awful. I figured something out today. All my life, growing up in the slums, I've never trusted no one. But that's just because I've been scared of being stabbed in the back. I mean, the more you trust someone, the more it hurts when they let you down. Yes, I think I can understand that. After all, I had a taste of it in that trial 2 months ago. I chose to trust someone and paid for it. That betrayal left a big scar. You know though, Gina, I worked something out quite recently too. Trusting in someone else is really an exercise in learning to trust yourself. And when your gut tells you it's the right thing to do and your trust is rewarded, there's no better feeling in the world. I think I have you to thank for reminding me of that valuable lesson. Oh, well, if you say so. Don't make a fat lot of sense to me, though. I'm trying to say that putting my faith in you, Gina, has been a real pleasure. For crying out loud, pack it in! Well, I suppose I sort of feel the same way. I mean, sometimes trusting someone else is, you know, alright.
Thanks. This is the way I see it, Ryunosuke. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. After this experience, I'm starting to feel like I understand what you mean, Kazuma. Am I living up to your expectations? Am I turning out to be the lawyer you believed I could be? Uh-oh. I don't know who this is. I'm gonna maybe guess Lord Strongheart? Pardon the interruption. Oh. Nope. Absolutely not. This is 100% just Sholmes in the fucking bailiff outfit again. But what the deuce does a man have to do to be noticed around here, my dear fellow? That voice. It's too late for that voice now, Mr. Naruhodo. I've been standing here patiently in the corner of the room for an eternity. Yes, it was me all along. I would have said when you finally noticed me. But you people with your incessant babbling.
Mr. Sholmes!
Yes, it was me all along, you see. What a curious fellow. I'd assumed you'd been taken back to the hospital, to be honest. Indeed I was, but I managed to escape again. Oh. Why? But why, though? I happened to be aware of one or two foibles of the doctor who was tending to me. I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily issued me with a leave of absence. How very above board. But enough of my adventures. That was a fine victory, Mr. Naruhodo. Your tireless efforts justly rewarded, I feel. Congratulations are in order. As a close friend, I tip my hat at you. Oh, thank you.
Some great detective you are. Great at being cold as ice, maybe.
Have I irked you in some way, Miss Lestrade?
Well, you've been having a snooze in your nice soft bed. Some of us have been fighting for our lives.
Ah, well, that bullet did cause me to lose a substantial amount of blood, it's true. So I have indeed been feeling somewhat cold. Not perhaps as cold as ice, but, well, have a feel. Could you take your hands off my neck, please, Mr. Shaw? Jesus Christ. And, in some way, I suppose, congratulations are in order for you too, Miss Lestrade.
What's that supposed to mean? Why so half-hearted?
Well, naturally, it isn't my intention to alarm you, but an acquittal in this trial with that particular prosecutor is perhaps a little precarious. Well done, Mr. Sholmes. Not alarming in the slightest.
Oh, the Reaper, you mean? Because anyone who's found not guilty in a trial he was working on winds up dead anyway. Is that it?
The very point I was trying to make. As exemplified by the fate of Mr. McGilded, in fact. Ah, but of course, I pay no attention to such irrational drivel myself.
Yeah, well, it don't bother me.
Oh, really?
Of course not. The way I see it, the Reaper's a bit like him upstairs.
Him upstairs? You mean, like God?
Yeah, him upstairs knows what's what, right? He knows what people are like on the inside. He won't have the wrong end of the stick. There's some coves like that bog trotter what are rotten to the core. At the end of the day, him upstairs makes sure they get what they deserve.
I suppose that's one way of looking at it. Divine justice is one thing, though. The Reaper taking matters into his own hands and claiming lives is another.
Well, I ain't like the McGildeds of this world, so I ain't scared. I got principles, see?
A trait in you which is to be admired, Miss Lestrade.
Oi, just give it a rest, alright?
As I was saying, congratulations are in order.
The news of your acquittal was very welcome news to me indeed. Let me express my heartfelt congratulations, Gina.
Well, There you are, Hurley! How long have you been here? Honestly, I went to the main entrance especially to meet you there.
Iris, my dear, I do apologize. But wait until I tell you what happened. This pair made utter fools of themselves.
What happened?
Oh,
What happened?
as you know, I have a penchant for disguise. I was hiding in this room dressed as a bailiff. But these dolts didn't notice my presence at all. They had no idea. Can you imagine, Iris? Would you credit it?
I'm not sure, really.
I beg your pardon?
I'm sorry, Hurley, but you just don't have the weighty presence you seem to think you have. In fact, you really ought to be careful about that. It's going to land you in trouble one day.
I'll be careful. Ouch! Damn. Got him right in the fucking heart with that one.
Anyway, it's such a shame. I was so hoping to throw a party for Jenny tonight. But you won't be able to come, will you?
No, probably gonna be taken back.
Don't look like I'm gonna be going nowhere for a while. You had the judge's patter. I got stuff to make amends for, apparently. All them offences. What was it again? Breaking and entering, taking the bog trotter stuff, what was in his lug, blah blah blah.
Yes, I think you'll find that basically being a pickpocket is the main offense.
But diving ain't an offence. It's a job, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Still, it has got me thinking all this. Maybe I should start looking for another line of work. I mean, you didn't start off as a lawyer, did you, Otto?
Well, no, but I was never a pickpocket.
Well, anyway, I reckon I could make a change. I'm gonna do something for all them lot like me from the slums. Something that makes a difference for 'em. That's a wonderful idea, Jenny, and I'm sure you can do it. What is it?
Aww.
Nothing.
Miss Gina Lestrade. The prison carriage has arrived, ma'am. Come with me to the rear gate at once.
Right. Well, looks like I'm off then.
Yes. Goodbye, Gina. And good luck.
Otto?
Yes? Ah! What was that for?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say, so I'm gonna be tsundere about it.
Indeed. Perhaps the situation calls for a phrase hitherto missing from your vocabulary, Miss Lestrade.
Eh?
On occasions such as this, I would recommend a simple thank you.
Oh. Oh, yes. It's a good advice, Jenny. Right, I see. Well... Ooh. Hat off. Thanks, Otto.
Oh, dude. That's the best moment of the game.
Thank you for everything what you've done. For believing in me.
Not at all. In fact, that should be my line. Thank you, Gina. That's the best moment of the game. Not gonna lie. Well, there she goes. Wonder if I'll ever see her again. Probably. Well, well, quite the indomitable pick purse.
Oh, I nearly forgot. I bought a paper outside. It's a special edition, and this trial is all over the front page. Pickpocket's innocence proven. Isn't it wonderful?
You should have shown it to Gina, Iris. She would have been thrilled.
Oh no, how silly of me. Ah, but anyway, Would you like the good news? Or the bad news? Oh god, there's bad news? Ugh, not again. Well, what do you say, Bruno? Hurley? The bad news is that Susano's ship has sank in the middle of the ocean and she's fucking dead. Jesus Christ. As usual, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. Absolutely not. I have no intention of listening to anything but good news. And there you have it. How people answer that question says a lot about them, doesn't it? Let's not go there. Alright then, maybe let's start with the good news this time. The rain has finally stopped. It was a record level of rainfall, apparently. Well, that is good news indeed. We can journey back in greater comfort. Alright then, what's the bad news? The huge storm has left the seas very choppy. The channel in particular is awful, so sailings out of Dover have been delayed a day or more. Wait, Dover? That's right, if we head to the station immediately, we may still make it in time to wave Susie off. But, there won't be a train, surely? We couldn't be that lucky. Who do you think I am, Mr. Naruhodo? Mr. Sholmes? I rushed to Victoria Station earlier and made arrangements for a special express. If we hurry now, we shall be there in time for dinner. And I know of a fine restaurant that serves the most delicious baked sole, or sole. I don't even know that food. What the fuck is that? The great detective does it again. Indeed he does. I happen to be aware of a number of the rail transport director's foibles. What? I have merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily laid on the locomotive. Elementary. Blackmail is apparently elementary to Mr. Sholmes over here. Just an idea, but it might be wise to stop manipulating people that way. What are we waiting for then? To London, Victoria! We're gonna get to see a fucking farewell at the end of this too? Port of Dover, quayside. That took somewhat longer than I had anticipated. Susie's boat must be about to leave now. Miss Susato, where are you? Oh, there she is. Over there, look! It looks like she's reading something.
Hold it!
Miss Susato, wait! What are you doing? Mr. Naruhodo, what are you doing here? We came as soon as we could after the trial. I mean, we heard that sailings were being delayed due to the bad weather, you see. Oh, I see. Then tell me, how did Gina's trial go? It went well. She was acquitted. That's wonderful. Really wonderful news. The book you were about to throw into the sea. It was your Encyclopedia of British Law, wasn't it? Oh dear. I was hoping you hadn't seen that. I'm not worthy of practicing law in any way now. So I was saying my final farewell. You were saying goodbye to law? You? Susato-san? Would I be correct in assuming it's because of the peephole, Miss Susato? I deliberately altered the scene of a crime, and then I tried to hide the fact. What I did is utterly unforgivable. That reminds me. How did you even come to have this, Susie? On the evening of the incident, Mr. Sholmes had invited Gina to dinner, if you remember. Oh yes, we had a wonderful time. Well, Gina gave us a little introductory lesson, didn't she? To the art of pickpocketing, I mean. Oh, that was so much fun. I stole Runo's armband. Yes, please don't do that again, Iris. That band's very important to me. Well, if it's so important, you should pay more attention to it. You didn't notice for ages. On a whim, I thought it would be fun to see if I could take the cat flap-o-mat, so I put it up my sleeve. Really?
and then I rather forgot about it until I found myself in Mr. Windibank's shop with it later that night.
I see.
And then...
Ooh.
Ah! Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes! Leave me, Mr. Naruhodo.
Right.
Oops, right.
That was the wrong fucking tone to say that line.
After Mr. Naruhodo had left the shop, I started to think. That door started to play on my mind.
The storeroom door, you mean?
Yes, if Gina was anywhere in the shop, I realized it could only be behind that door. And at that moment, the little device that I had up my sleeve sprang to mind. I was so worried about Gina, I simply had to know.
So you used the cat flapomat to make the peephole in the door.
As captured in a photographic print of the shop by one of Hurley's red-handed recorders.
Indeed, it was of the first importance, that point. Precisely when the peephole was made, that information would prove to be Mr. Naruhodo's greatest weapon. Though naturally, without proof, it would have amounted to nothing.
But when I looked through the hole in the door, the sight that met my eyes made my blood run cold. Thoughts started to run through my mind. I remembered that trial 2 months earlier.
The trial of Magnus McGilded.
I thought about how he had manipulated the evidence and arranged false testimony to secure his freedom. It made the British justice system feel very dark and sinister to me. And then a terrible thought occurred to me. What if some wicked criminal was planning to do the same thing now? Because from the appearance of the crime scene, it looked exactly as though Gina had shot Mr. Windibank. Even though I was sure she never would have done such a thing.
You were worried that the true culprit would try to frame her for the crime?
That's right, but then I realized it would be very difficult for anyone to give false testimony in this case.
What do you mean?
Well, the crime appeared to have happened behind the door of a locked room. For someone to claim falsely to have witnessed it, there would have to be a way to see beyond the door.
Ah. For which, a peephole would be the very thing.
Only the peephole I had made wasn't actually there until after the crime had been committed, of course. And the criminal would know that, so it wouldn't make any difference.
But the possibility of a rather ingenious trap was there, was it not? A trap? Is that why she did it?
So, is that why you kept it a secret, Susie? You never mentioned that you made the peephole to anyone, not even to the police. I know, and I knew at the time what I was doing was wrong. A criminal offense, even. That's why I decided to confide in Mr. Sholmes. If Mr. Naruhodo was completely backed into a corner with no other possible means of escape, the truth about the peephole could save him. That was my plan.
She really does think of everything. But then, why didn't you just tell me everything before the trial began? My dear fellow, you're not thinking straight. If she had done that, it would have rendered you complicit in the whole escapade. Ah. You could have been disbarred if you had been seen to have knowingly tampered with the crime scene. So Miss Susato decided to shoulder the burden of responsibility alone, for your sake and Miss Lestrade's.
Miss Susato. The truth is, when it happened, I did it because I'd lost a little of my faith in the law.
Oh.
I was worried that the right person wouldn't be convicted of the crime. But the moment I allowed myself to think that is the moment I lost my right to call myself a judicial assistant.
What you did isn't comparable to what he did. Graydon is the one who lied in the witness stand, using that peephole as a way to implicate Gina. And besides, if the peephole inconsistency hadn't existed, I'm not at all sure that she would have been acquitted in the end. Miss Susato, what you did saved Gina's life.
Well, with your kind words, Mr. Naruhodo, you've saved me too from my regrets.
Well, we must all be thankful that Miss Lestrade's freedom has been assured. Yes, exactly. Although some of the loose ends in that trial will continue to play on my mind, I'm sure.
But the revelation that the music box disc contains secret messages, Mr. Naruhodo. What a triumph to work that out. I'm full of admiration.
Well, actually, that argument wasn't quite as compelling as I thought it was.
Oh, it wasn't?
There was a communications officer among the jury members, you see, a telegraph operator, and she said that the majority of the sounds on the disc were just meaningless tones. As one would expect. After all, we are talking about secret government communications. No doubt they were written in cipher to avoid being readily understood should they have been intercepted. That's true. They absolutely would have been written in cipher. In cipher? I see. So then we could never have hoped to understand the message anyway. Nonsense, my dear fellow. It's quite a zero-pi problem, I assure you.
A. So-gi?
Oh, Asogi? What? Is she solving it at the moment?
Well, that can't be a real word, can it? How funny. Wait, Iris, what did you just say? Oh, I just said asogi. Does that word mean something to you?
Mean something? Asogi was the name of my best friend.
What? But how? How do you know that name, Iris? I wrote it down during the trial before, when the message was playing on the music box.
So that's what she was thinking about. She transcribed it on the fly? She really is a genius.
I thought the message probably wouldn't be written out in plain Morse code, so I tried various ways to interpret it. But whatever I tried, the word just didn't seem to make any sense. That is, in English at least.
Oh, so you think that the secrets were being transmitted to the Japanese. So it's in Japanese, and we could understand it.
Oh! It suddenly occurred to me, you see. There's more than one Morse code, not just the English variety. Various countries around the world have altered and added to Morse code to use it in their own languages.
I don't believe it. Are you saying...
That's right. I've only actually seen a chart of Japanese Morse code once before, but I think it's based on the Iroha pangram, isn't it?
And you mean to say that in Japanese Morse code, the message says asogi? I think Iroha means spring? I don't remember exactly, but it means something around that, like either flower or spring, something like that. Something along those lines. I'm not exactly sure though, so don't take my word for it.
Yes, I think so. Sorry, but I don't remember all of the Japanese Morse code. Iris, would you let me see that?
Miss Usato, do you know it? Do you know Japanese Morse code?
Yes, I spent some time studying it. Because I'm quite sure Morse code will become ever more important for international communications.
Well, not for long, but... Then I might recommend, my dear madam, that you focus your efforts on the English version.
Be that as it may, Iris, show me the message, please. Of course.
This will be interesting.
But what can this possibly mean?
Whatever is in that long sequence of supposedly meaningless dots and dashes has made the color drain from Susato-san's face.
There's no doubt that this message is written in Japanese Morse code.
So the British Empire has been using Japanese for its secret communications?
I don't understand the reason why, but the message appears to be a list of 4 people's names.
4 names? Probably one of them is Mikotoba, one of them's Naruhodo, one of them's Asogi, and the other one, I don't know who.
The first is Kei Asogi.
Kazuma Asogi. Why? Why was his name on that disc?
The second is A. Sheen.
Sheen? I don't recognize that name.
The third is T. Gregson.
Oh. Okay. Gregson. Gregson? Ah, it would seem Tobias Gregson is the 3rd man on that list. And what's his name doing on his secret government communications as well?
And the last name...
What's the matter, Miss Susato?
It's just so strange, so unexpected. Oh, what is it, Susie? Don't keep us in suspense. The last name is J. Wilson.
Oh. Iris's father that was killed. I was wondering if we would ever tell her this or not. That's bad.
What?
Wilson.
John H. Wilson? You mean Daddy?
Uh-oh.
It says only J. Wilson, so I'm afraid I can't be sure. Then after the 4 names it reads, if I translate from Japanese, that is all 4. And that's the end of the message. Or rather, the end of what you noted down, Iris.
Well, 2 of those people are dead. We don't know about Gregson. Gregson could have been killed by now. Well, actually, wait a minute. I'm thinking of bullshit right now because this message was noted down by the government communications people back when case 3 was happening on, right? It was even before case 3 happened that the messages were received. So Asogi, Wilson, Gregson, and then someone else.
And that's the end of the message, or rather the end of what you noted down, Iris.
I just can't believe it. Who would ever have thought that those discs contain Japanese Morse code? Not to mention a strange list of some disturbingly familiar names. It would appear that this particular message is a communication of some kind between Great Britain and the Empire of Japan.
So, Daddy could be in Japan then, where Susie and Runo come from. Oh, well... No, it's not very likely really, is it? I mean, there are thousands of people with the surname Wilson, and there must be lots of J's among them.
Professor John H. Wilson, visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. But we can't tell Iris about that now. We just can't. Yeah, we need to tell her about that when she's back at home. But we do need to tell her. Jesus Christ, do not fucking keep that from her longer than it needs to be kept. I mean, Jesus Christ. Poor girl deserves to know. This is so strange. Somehow in solving the case of Mr. Windibank's murder today, I feel like I've rolled back a boulder at the mouth of a very dark cave. Don't worry, we've got a whole nother fucking game to play for that.
I do wonder if perhaps it's a dark cave that we shouldn't go wandering inside.
Who knows? Well, there's your boat. You need to get on that.
Oh dear, the ship is going to set sail soon.
Yes, it seems so.
I'll sail on that steamship first to the port of Dunkirk in France. Then I'll change onto a larger passenger vessel bound for Japan. You're really going then, Susie?
We wish you a safe passage, Miss Susato.
Thank you so much. I wish you all the very best.
Miss Susato, I had hoped to have you always at my side to guide me and support me.
Mr. Naruhodo!
Please, come back soon. As far as I'm concerned, you really are the very best judicial assistant in the world.
I'm quite sure. I'll be back before you know it. Really, Susie? Oh, now don't forget, Iris. I made you a promise I've yet to fulfill. A promise? About your manuscript. Ah.
Oh yes, the Hound of the Baskervilles.
Well, I'll be waiting for you then, Susie. A promise is a promise. Definitely, Iris. Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes?
Do you remember the first time we met?
Yes, of course. On the SS Burio when I was dragged out from that wardrobe still half asleep. Well, the first time we met was technically in that courtroom. When you came in and delivered evidence to Asogi. But, yeah. If I remember rightly, you threw me halfway across the cabin with the Susato takedown. You know very well what I'm talking about after that. It's strange, but being thrown together as we were in that case, I somehow felt straight away that you were the perfect person to continue Kazuma-sama's great legacy.
Miss Susato.
And my instincts were right. I really want to believe. No, I'm sure that... I'll be back soon. Farewell until then.
Alright. We get anime cutscene at the end here.
Somehow we seem to have come to the end of the adventures of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Or the first volume, at least. Looking back now, it feels as though fate has led me on this journey.
Hey, Wagahai's with them too.
Fate led me to become.
Oh, I didn't even notice that she has like a little
traveling
teddy bear
halfway around the
backpack.
world
That's a
to
nice
meet
detail.
The great detective.
I can't
I'm
read
sure there are
lips
trials and
when
tribulations
there's only
ahead.
like 3 frames of
Of course
animation.
there will. But whatever happens, I know I'll be able to turn my fortunes around.
You know, he's playing the fucking violin too.
After all, I have the greatest friends in the world on my side.
Yeah, I have friendship. Happy friendship time. And that is the end of Great Ace Attorney Chronicles 1? Question mark? Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, Mr. Sholmes? I have some rather awkward news. The railway company has decided to sue over the special express train, apparently. Huh?
It caused such a commotion on the line, all the other trains had to wait at stations.
But really, we would never have made it to Dover in time otherwise. Anyway, I explained everything, and how it was all your fault. You fucking dickhead. Huh? Huh? I believe a formal complaint should be delivered to your office tomorrow. My office is your house! But not to worry, my dear fellow. According to Miss Susato...
You love defending yourself in court.
Huh? Huh? Huh?
It's alright, I'm perfectly happy to testify. He really didn't look like the sort of man who'd do something so outrageous. See?
Mr. Sholmes? Yes? A word, if you don't mind. Why, certainly. Any word you like. Bellow it out, my dear fellow. Ah, yes. Ending the game just like we always hoped we would.
Oh yes, I love Reno's words, and I know just the one he'll use here.
Then, I really must say...
Objection!
OBJECTION! Fantastic. So, this is an hour and fucking 30-minute episode at least. Finale to the first game. That's nice. In the following weeks, hundreds of music boxes arrived at Baker Street from all over Europe. Something was afoot, though it transpired I had ordered them all myself. So I advertised them for sale with, used by Mr. Sholmes to solve an important case. And the money I've earned, consulting detective work pays a pittance by comparison. We'll just keep reading through this stuff in here, and then I'll give my thoughts at the end of all of this.
I haven't slept a wink. This manuscript is due tomorrow now. When I'm this busy, Hurley usually cooks me breakfast. Well, cooks is an overstatement, for some dry toast and insipid coffee. I do miss Susie and her lovely Japanese breakfasts.
Oh boy. Dude, a whole nother game with this kind of character. Oh god.
Witness, your testimony is riddled with contradictions.
I can't fucking do this.
I'm not gonna voice these people.
Exactly. Rarely do coins hiding rare and the rest acts himself. Well, I don't know, so knows his father was an innocent man. Are you calling my son a liar?
Witnesses, my courtroom is no place for your petty arguments.
Damn, they're really making me fucking redo all of the voices from this entire case. This sucks.
Having delivered the Russian dancer to shore in Shanghai, I lay low on the steamship for a while. But last night, I apprehended an extremely suspicious Japanese national on board.
I've done nothing wrong. All I did was give Wagahai's offspring refuge in my pocket. A man brings some kittens on board and suddenly he's a hardened criminal. It's not fair.
That's one way to bring Soseki into this. This is one last hurrah for all of these voices that we might not see again.
Scientific investigation will be the gold standard for policing in the new age. I dream of a world governed by the tenets of order and discipline. Like a great clock, in fact, whose hundreds of parts mesh together in perfect unison. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have but 2 minutes and 37 seconds until my next appointment.
I do not trust you in the slightest, to be quite honest. But I'm sure there will be some extra characters that we are introduced to in the next thing.
The latest Wrenched magazine is out, and I'm in it again. Whenever I say that one line she wrote now, I get a standing ovation. Wanna hear it? Not bad, I suppose, for an amateur. Cluck, cluck, cluck.
Ah, her ladyship puts me to shame. The animators did a pretty damn great job with the expressive animations in 3D for this game.
We're visiting the old girl on a daily basis, of course. Joni, my old jailbird. Must say, battling with those bally stairs every day has done wonders for the dicky peg. Managing rather well with the housework too. Got this maid business taped up, I'd say. Hope the gossiping neighbours don't realise the man of the house is his own maid.
I see that your pictures on your wall are still messed up, though. Oh god, these two.
My Rolly is back on the beat again, all thanks to the Reaper. There's nothing I enjoy more these days than hunting out small change in the gutter. I'm a better Bobby now, looking out for Londoners, their dropped up pennies, and my lovely wife.
I'm not doing that. Nope, you're not going to catch me doing that. I don't think we'll see those two again, to be quite honest. I think we'll probably keep a couple of characters, like maybe Gina. Hey Gina, how you doing? I was just speaking about you.
Looks like I'm gonna be doing time for a bit now. But Iris comes every day for Anata, so it ain't too boring. She's always going on about all them cases what Sholmes is looking into. Criminal investigations are kind of interesting when you get into them.
Oh, are you going to become involved with the law just like us? I would be okay with that. That would be interesting. That would be an interesting way to keep her around, at least. Ah, him. Yes, I renounced my upbringing and chose a life of sophisticated crime. But regrets? Please.
Give over, bruv. That ain't the Ash we used to know.
We got time in here to plan the comeback of Milverton and Skulkin's milk run, right? The Three Musket Whatsits? Milking the neighborhood for all it's worth.
Well, that's something. I feel like the Skulkin brothers will probably get out before he does, though. Considering he's murdered 2 people. Yeah, I don't think he's getting out anytime soon. Yes, Susano.
This past 6 months has been a time I shall remember forevermore. Painful goodbyes and wonderful encounters. I've come to realize that's what life is all about. Naruhodo-san, I promise, your assistant will return to you one day. But for now, I leave you with many memories and a heartfelt wish that life will treat you well.
Yeah, let's just hope none of us fucking die before we all reunite. One more time. Aww. Nice picture. So we finally get to see the picture that they took together. There's Wakai trying to take his cap off. That's cute. Very cute. Well then, that is, for lack of a better word, the end of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I'm guessing this is the full credits. This is a nice little credit sequence. Yes, this is the full credits here. Nice little 3D area of them walking through all the characters and everything. I like that. Alright, so, goddamn. This game was quite something else. I won't say it was my favorite in the entire series, but I will say I think it's probably in the top 5 or 3. I mean, the only 2 that I can think of off the top of my head that I liked much more than this game, not these 2 because we haven't played the second one yet. The only 2 that I can think of that I liked more than this game are Trials and Tribulations and my favorite of all time, Investigations 2. So yeah, I would say that this is probably my 3rd favorite in the entire franchise, which is really, really quite something else. I thought the characters were excellently done. I thought that, for the most part, the cases were also very nice and interesting. I was hoping for a bit more twists in some of the earlier ones. Oh, that sucks, dude. You get to the end of fucking case 2, or at least like part way through case 2 there, and he fucking stops and leaves you. That's a fucking heart-wrenching detail. I hope we see her again, by the way. I liked her character. Maybe we'll get to see her again. Susato's gonna give you the sword here. Yep. I guess that I'm thinking, okay, yeah, she is walking with you. That's what I expected. This is a really nice credit sequence, though. But yeah, God. Gina is one of my favorite characters in all of Ace Attorney. I really, really enjoyed her character arc throughout the latter half of the game. I would say probably the weakest case out of the bunch. Was probably case 2. I felt like the overall reveal of the truth of what happened in case 2 was kind of weak. Just the fact that Asogi got pushed off balance and fucking hit his head on the side of the bed, like the hard knob on the end of the bed, and died. That was what killed him. Was kind of just like a wow, that fucking sucks. I wish it was something more sinister, or just something that was more outlandish, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. Case 4 is probably 3rd place on the list of cases in this game, with case 1 being 4th place, and then my top 2 are case 3 and then case 5 at the end. I did really like the emotional impact that case 5 had, but the only reason that case 5 was as emotional as it was because of the great setup that case 3 had. And I think It's difficult to ascertain which one of the two I like more, specifically because they are both so dependent on one another. But yes, I think I like Case 3 more. She's gonna shoot that fucking smoke grenade at us. No, she's not. That's nice. Mount Rocco Cable Car and Tourism Company, Rocco International Box. That's interesting. So yeah, that's gonna be it for Great Ace Attorney 1. Great Ace Attorney 2 is gonna come soon, but it's not going to come immediately after this video gets uploaded. No. We've got another game that I'm going to put in this game slot at 6 p.m. on the days, well, just the days throughout October, really. I don't think it'll probably take longer than October to finish this. But you'll get to see what it is. I'll post the first video for it probably Saturday. Yeah, so I'd say Saturday this week. So yeah, it'll be a week. It'll be a week from. Well, actually, now that I think about it, I'm recording this on Saturday, so it will be the Saturday after the one that I record this. So October 9th, that's when the next series is going to come out. Also, this is a lovely title screen here. But yes, in the next time that we have videos going up at 6 o'clock, we're going to have the new game. It's probably going to run throughout most of October. I don't think it's going to take longer than October. Maybe 20 episodes max. And then after that, we'll be right back into Great Ace Attorney 2. And that'll be awesome. And we'll get to learn more about that missing name, the two people from fucking Case 4. It was 4, it wasn't 3. I don't know why I said 3 earlier. But the two people from Case 4 that we never heard of again after they popped up for a split minute there. And we'll also, the other big mystery that, was never alluded to in the first game is the fucking other Japanese girl, or at least the other girl that's wearing Japanese clothes, on the box for Great Ace Attorney. I mean, she's right there on the box. We have no idea who she is. Maybe she's the other Japanese name that was in the list of names from the decoded transmission. So, yeah. That's going to be it for this one. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. This is the end of my first ever playthrough on my channel. And yeah, this is it. Thank you guys once again for watching, and I will see you guys probably in the Smash Bros section of content coming out on the 5th when we get the final character, the final DLC character. So yeah, see you guys then.